So, this is Mr. Kevin Smith. I'm sure most of you know him.
Stop the pond here.
One of the greatest teachers I've had. When I found out that he did comics, I thought I would bring him down for a special program. And it's great because this year's summer reading program will be superheroes. So we're going to have lots of comic stuff, superhero, all kinds of projects and crafts and everything going on. So we might bring you back if you'd like to. And I'm not sure what he has planned for us, but I'll let him take over. You're welcome to help yourself to refreshments. I don't care. Please help yourself to as much as you like. All right. Thank you for coming.
And we will do breaks in there, intermissions and stuff, so you can grab some drinks, use the restroom, whatever else, talks and everything else. So, anything else in the meantime? Am I good to go?
You're good to go.
Good to go? Okay. Cool. Some of you already know this, but excuse me, I injured my foot yesterday at school, so I'm kind of sitting a little bit more than I was going to originally plan to. But I'll try and stand when I can. I'm good right now. Need some markers here. So, the description Ty had and I had up was kind of vague, but just let you know what I'm going through. It's going to be starting with the history of comics, moving into how they're actually made, and then going into what goes into making one, how I make one, and depending on how long we're here, possibly getting a little comment of our own storyboarded right here amongst ourselves and kind of build in some characters and a quick little story before we leave. Alright, so let's go first thing. Whether it was from your childhood, whether it's from when you're adults or whatever else, when you think of or picture a comic book, what do you think of? As far as what it looks like, what has to be in it, anything like that, what's a comic book? What's a comic book when you think of it?
I think you can add a story without you having to read words. You get to see the pictures and words.
Alright, so we got a story with the pictures. You can follow along with it. Okay. What's got to be in the comic or in the story? Anyone else want to jump in? Go ahead, yes sir.
Action.
Oh, always nice. Alright, there's some sort of action. Vague, but definitely in there. Anything else? Go.
You have to see those questions.
Definitely, and that goes with this, I'll put this in there. Action and expressions, as you can see the people. Okay. What kind of people do we have usually? And any comic you can think of, whether it be your Archies or your superheroes or anything else. I know you love your Beetle Baileys and such too, so. What do we have in there? Yes, sir.
You do like superheroes or supervillains.
Okay, oh, got both? Okay, we'll list them both out here. Superheroes or villains. Now, even you, since I mentioned Brian's favorites of the old Harvey comics, whatever else, since they don't have superheroes, what do yours usually have?
Yeah, troublemakers.
Troublemakers.
That's true. Okay, not
I
one
would say like
series.
primary and secondary characters.
Oh, even better. Okay, we get troublemakers in there first as a specific example.
Junkie.
That may go into this category, but we'll keep it separate here. Okay, you got both primary, I'm writing sideways here, excuse me, and I'll abbreviate secondary characters. Okay. The book itself, what do you usually see or picture? Like what you hold in your hand, I mean, is where we're going with that one.
Comic books smell great.
Ooh.
I don't know, it's just...
Especially the old ones.
It's how your how your senses bring out certain memories and stuff. You just...
Alright, that old comic smell.
For sure.
They're not thick, heavy books. They're just a thin, quick read.
Very good.
Light.
Setting.
What about it? Anything in particular?
It could be its own character even, but I mean it's.
Look at you, getting deep on me. Setting as a character.
Sometimes that's a big part of the whole story itself, is
Depending on what you're
where it
reading.
takes place, or
Exactly.
even the nature of where it takes place.
The locale, definitely. Okay, cool. I'll keep this up here so keep this in mind as I start doing some of this stuff here. Alright, what we consider to be comics are very recent to mankind. What's considered by many historians to be the origins of what became our comics, as you can see here, were cuts that were created in Japan in the 1700s. Usually they were just single panel cuts. Now I'll be honest, I don't speak Japanese or read Japanese. I'm not sure what that says on the side over here. but and you can go online and look. There are many different cuts that tell, when connected, would tell a giant story. Usually printed one at a time. Over time, people would read the story. It would take a while to do that. That progressed into Europe into the 1830s when they created something very similar to what we would call like political cartoons. Single pages, sometimes mocking the anarchy or the establishment, so to speak. Sometimes it's very jokingly lighthearted. That progressed till you got up to this over here, America, in the 1930s. I'm gonna freeze that there. In 1933, what's considered to be the first comic book came out. It's called Famous Funnies. Now, it may be hard to see here. Along the bottom, along the top actually, it says 100 comics and games, puzzles, magic. So it wasn't just comics. They actually had things to do. You could draw and write and do little games inside this. This was not even still what we consider to be a comic book. Because at that time you had newspapers printing comic strips like we have on Dilbert and Garfield like we have today. All they did there was they would cut and paste strips from a week or a month's worth of comics and literally paste them on a sheet of paper and then print them because it would tell a whole story. And they would add on, as I said, mazes, puzzles, and games, etc. for the kids to play with. Now, right here today we've got almost a golden age going on in comics right now, but still the two big companies that were back then in the 30s and 40s created that still go today are DC and Marvel. They're the two big companies making most of what we call the superhero books. They branched out into other things too, but that's their bread and butter is the superheroes. So, first thing I have, this is a quick little interactive thing here, and we'll get the young people involved and the older people too, if they want to jump in here too, is just to make sure how well these companies have pervaded themselves into our lives. Take our two companies here, we've got DC and Marvel. So what I've got here on my table in front of me here is I've got 9 strips of paper with different characters on them. To see whether or not you know between TV, movies, and reading, whatever else, what company this character belongs to. Brian's like placing bets. I can do 8 out of 9 of them.
Right.
Like that.
No, I think I'll get maybe half.
You ever have?
I'm not sure
I've got the big ones, and I got a couple obscure ones too.
Yeah.
That's what's going to throw you off. I understand.
Hot stuff.
75%.
It's just DC and Marvel. No Harvey. Okay.
Yes.
You have a choice. I'll let you pick one.
Uh-oh.
He has the Thing. Putting the Thing there in Marvel. Okay. Or we do them all before I say yes or no to anything. So, all right. You want to try one? Don't even think. Just walk up and grab one. Just grab it and pop it up there. All right. Here you got Howard the Duck. You're welcome.
That's a good one.
I know. I had to put Howard the Duck in there. Come on. Going with the obscure. You want to try one?
Obscure.
To the masses. To the masses. Or if you watch the end of
Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's there too.
That was a good song though. That Power.
Okay. This is here.
They might give you a hint, but you might know.
Here you got Superman.
No, that's your one.
DC or Marvel? Which one you put? Superman there? Okay. You want to try another one? Take 2. We'll get you guys do a couple of them. Batman. Going DC on that one? Okay. You want to try one? Let the kids try 2 each. Spider-Man, DC, Marvel.
Obviously.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got the Flash? All right. Going DC on that one. All right, that's what we got here.
That's a shocker.
I know.
I know,
I'm surprised I put that one on there. Yeah, John's like, all right. All right, Brian, since you got Cyborg.
Oh, well, that's obscure. For me, it's obscure.
Exactly.
Marvel.
Marvel. Okay.
50-50 guess.
Exactly. Charles. Swamp Thing.
DC.
Okay.
I know 2 of them.
John?
Are
That's too easy for you. I'm not gonna give it to you. Jen.
Doctor Who.
No. It's not DC or Marvel.
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
Incredible Hulk.
under.
Look, the boy's like, oh, come on.
DC.
DC. Okay, I'll put them here. The tape came off. I'll put them right here.
That's wrong.
All right. No, the wrong one. That's wrong. All right, we got to wait.
He's in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got here.
I know which ones are right and which ones are wrong.
You want to do a rearrange?
Do it.
Fix. What we got?
Get us straight.
Drop. Yeah. Slide the Hulk, whichever side you want Hulk to be on.
On the correct
You want
side.
to fix also? All right, Jesse's got to fix too. You're going to fix the fix.
Oh, the obscure one.
He's calling Howard as Marvel. He's calling Swamp Thing as DC.
Uh-oh.
He's calling Cyborg back to Marvel.
Cyborg is definitely DC.
Yeah, Cyborg is DC.
She's calling Cyborg definitely DC.
Cause he
No, just because she's certain, we ask, why do you, how do you know, why do you know that?
Because he's in the Teen Titans.
Yep.
And that's
Cartoons will get you.
definitely DC.
Yep.
Yep. And plus the Lego Batman 2 DC heroes.
And then the Lego comes in, the games come in too. Alright, now they're all 9 correct. Swamp Thing, Batman, Flash, Cyborg, Superman, DC, The Thing from the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Howard the Duck, our obscure one, yes. And the Incredible Hulk from the Avengers, yes, all on Marvel. Again, you got movies, you got TV, you got cartoons, you got the Lego games and other types of video games too. Pervasing everything we see and do. I mean, some of these have been around, obviously, like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, for over half a century. Some are newer, Cyborg a little newer, probably the newest one up there actually. But we see them all the time, and whether we recognize them, as again, the younger kids can recognize them too, they're still there. Some of these characters haven't changed.
The Flash even
Heck
has
of a
its
lot.
own TV show.
Now on TV,
Again,
young Batman on Gotham, exactly. And you might see Cyborg in the new Justice League movie also.
And then Teen Titans too.
Titans Go, Young Justice, you got a bunch of stuff there. Okay, so, see if Brian won't shoot on the first one here. So what I decided to do was, first thing I want to do, on what's up here, is go through some of the more iconic characters and covers where they first appeared. Because some of these have been used, parodied, paid homage to, lots of things over the decades. And they even got one video to show that's homage to some of the stuff from the movie you've probably all seen. But, alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the comic and give you the time period when these came out. See if you guys, no cheating on the first one. Because he's ready to go.
You're getting a reputation around here.
No, because
I got the first one wrong, so
I know him.
No,
Because what I'm about to say, that's why I know him. Alright, so we're going to do a timeline basically. Go back to what we consider to be, for these guys especially here, for DC and Marvel, their timeline of when things were created and why they were created. So, we go back to the beginning. June 1938, Action Comics #1
Superman.
is the first appearance, there it is, of
I remember.
Superman.
Superman.
That's the cover there of Action Comics #1. Again, very highly parodied and paid homage to over the decades. Many companies have used that stance of one of their characters lifting the car up, people running and fleeing away from the bottom, whatever else, all going back to this comic right here. As you can see on the cover, it only cost 10 cents to get that.
Wow.
It was recently sold. One of them was in near mint condition, graded a 9.0 by ZGC out of 10, and was sold for $3.2 million. So one thin dime investment in 1938, you could have $3.2 million for your grandkids right now.
do they know of any 10s out there?
They're aware of, no, they were very shocked to see the 9.0. That was considered to be in near mint condition. To have survived 76 years, 75 at that time, it was just unheard of. They were surprised. That I'm aware of, they know of about 10 copies in existence. Not saying somebody's attic doesn't have a copy somewhere,
Yeah.
maybe. But that they're aware of out there in the market, there's 10
I
that they're aware
have 2
of.
comics at home.
You have 2 versions of that?
I have actually 2 different ones, but both Marvel.
Of Marvels?
I have one like the science teacher gave me on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It was Never Alone. We have like
Never Alone.
we have the different marbles.
Okay.
And my grandma gave me one that had Power Fist and I'm trying to remember.
Power Man and Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Yep, I know Power Man and Iron Fist. They're looking at putting them, I believe, either in the new Daredevil TV show on Netflix or possibly in a Marvel movie for
I
Power
can do
Man.
those next time.
Yep, they'll be out there.
So obviously, you know, when comics from there to now, they publish a lot more. Do you know how many about those were published when they first came out?
Originally?
Yeah, originally.
Honestly, no. The original run, no, I don't, because at the time, this was written by 2 15-year-old boys. They're from Cleveland, Ohio, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. They created the most iconic character in the world. They're 15-year-old boys. They basically had to fight to sell it too, to get it out there. So it wasn't a big run. It's pretty much, all right, we need something, let's put it out there. And create what this guy is today. I mean, they were 2 Jewish boys. Their families had come from Europe, where all the uprising of Hitler and the Nazis were coming out. And they imagined a world where there's one person that could fight for these 2 weak little 15-year-old boys. And they created Superman, who's, again, considered basically the granddaddy of all superheroes. Yeah. So, next one comes right after that. We go to May 1939,
Batman.
Detective Comics number 27.
Batman.
We'll hit the Dark Knight. Batman swings in. And again, less than a year later, that was May 1939, so 11 months later, Detective Comics comes out. Detective Comics is also where DC Comics got its name from. The initial DC. That became one of their big sellers. They switched over and became DC Comics. Some people don't know this. Originally, Batman did carry a gun, but he got rid of that pretty quick because he didn't want to become like the criminals he was fighting. So that's why Batman doesn't carry one today. It was very brief, but he did have a gun, little holster.
Pop.
Yes, he wanted to fight. Oswald was in there near the beginning, not quite. Now, both of these characters are DC. DC got the jump on Marvel with this. Marvel was at the time called Timely Comics, and then Marvel kind of became their new name. They weren't very creative sometimes with their naming of the comics. Sometimes they just gave the name of the character, was the name of the comic. But in October of 1939, so just barely after this, they released Marvel Comics number 1, which had a couple of different characters debut there.
Captain America.
No.
Fantastic Four.
That's a little bit before Captain America. Now, that's way before. They didn't come into the 60s. This is going back to 1939. Now, I would be impressed, John's thinking, if you can name any one of the characters that debuted back then. John's thinking of food.
Food Man.
Are you taking a break so you can stall for time, or do you actually have an answer?
I have crackers in my mouth.
Okay.
Spider-Man.
I'll give a drink while he eats a drink. I'll let my drink with you.
Spider-Man.
Way too advanced for Spider-Man.
Did you say Captain America didn't come out to the 60s?
No.
Okay. That's what I was...
Spidey. Spidey
Yeah.
and Fantastic Four were 60s.
Okay.
Cap was a little later.
Later.
The Hulk.
Then
Than
this.
this,
Okay, I was going to
yes.
say, that would have been during
They're not later than that,
Yeah.
later than this.
World War II.
The Hulk.
Mm-hmm. That's later down the road. These are old.
That's what I was hung up on. I thought you were saying...
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything?
So what was your
No,
question?
not Howard the Duck's a good call, though. Well remembered.
So what were you asking me?
If you knew who Marvel Comics number 1, October 1939, had a couple different people debut there.
Black Widow.
One was in a brief, if you saw the first Captain America movie,
The Avengers.
no, not the Avengers, the first Captain America movie, very briefly, as the camera kind of went like this, one of his characters was seen down at the bottom, at the very beginning when they were on the date at the World's Fair kind of thing.
Oh.
One of his characters was on display down in the case. If you didn't know what you're looking for, you wouldn't have seen him.
Flame...
That's why I go to John, because he might know some of the obscure stuff.
Flame...
Oh,
Human
The Torch,
Say it again?
yeah.
Human Torch.
the original Human Torch.
Yeah.
Not the one in the Fantastic Four.
No.
But
He was an android.
he was an android. Very good. He was an android.
He was a human torch.
Now, as you can see the cover, the Human Torch was an android who would burst into flame upon oxygen being given to him. That's why he's kept in a glass case. Also,
The
you see it there?
alien submarine.
There it is. Submariner. Basically, if you know, for example, Aquaman, that's DC. Submariner was Marvel's version of that, and he came out first, actually. And the very bottom down there says featuring Khazar the Great. Khazar was Marvel's, we'll say, take on Tarzan. Basically looked just like Tarzan, but he had blonde hair. Jungle Man, loincloth, live in the jungle. That was their version. They were kind of throwing things out there to get some audience going. But the original Human Torch was created right there. Next one, sliding just a little bit forward to February 1940, Whiz, as in G-Whiz, Whiz Comics number 2. You want to take a stab at who debuted then? This is not DC or Marvel. This is Whiz Comics. This is from, the company was Fawcett, F-A-W-C-E-T-T.
The Comet.
Nope, not the Comet. I'll give you a hint. The hint is lightning.
Lightning Bolt.
Lightning was DC. It's in the 60s, though.
Thor?
What?
Thor?
Nope, not Thor, though lightning has evolved there. Marvel's Thor came in the 60s, actually.
Thor is actually Marvel too.
And Thor would have been up there, too. All right. Any other? That was Captain Marvel. Shazam.
Shazam!
Shazam kicked in.
Oh.
Fawcett Comics got sued by DC Comics because they said he was too much like Superman. And DC lost. The court said, no, he's fine, he's totally different. He's magic. Superman's alien. Different things. Then, ironically, in the 1970s and 80s, DC bought out Fawcett Comics and got the rights to Shazam anyway and brought him in. So, in the end, DC won, I guess. Now, this one's not going to be any fun because this is one of the times that Marvel named their comic after the actual character. So I'm not gonna make you guess because it's in the title, but I will point out some things that are on the cover, 2 or 3 things here actually. March 1941, right before we got involved in the war, that's when we got,
Captain America.
there he is, Captain America #1. Famous for being on the cover punching Hitler. That's what Captain America does, he punches Hitler. Now, who here saw the second Captain America movie, The Winter Soldier? Okay. If you saw the first one, you saw Bucky get killed, supposedly, back Winter Soldier. There's Bucky, down at the bottom.
Oh, I
Bucky
know.
was a teenage kid. Here, let me raise it up a little bit.
Isn't the modern Bucky based off of? He's like a mix between this one and one of Captain America's other friends.
He's a different partner. He's actually a different Bucky's over the years.
Yeah.
But going with the original Bucky, that's what he looked like originally. It was very common at the time that your superheroes started to get teenage sidekicks. Batman had Robin.
Yeah.
Captain America had Bucky. Obviously looking a lot differently as a Winter Soldier, even as he did in Bucky in the first Captain America. But yeah, that's what he looked like back then. Captain America became one of the biggest comics. It kept Marvel going during the war because they would ship copies over to the GIs in Europe and in Asia to kind of remind them of home. And the trouble kicked in because right after the war, everybody kind of came back, the comics stopped selling. Superheroes weren't selling anymore. But we'll get to that in just a second. We jump forward, big gap, we jump 20 years, I'll explain the gap in just a moment, to, again, Marvel not being creative, but still having a good comic here. November 1961, oh, sorry, fast forward, that's that one. Say it again?
Fantastic Four.
That's them. Fantastic Four jumped in. Now this is a time period when Stan Lee took over, he had been in the war himself. He came in and created basically with the line of comics you guys think of, Marvel Comics, you see in the movies, he created them. Different couple guys drew them. Steve Ditko, a couple guys did all this. He was creative. He wanted something different. He didn't want somebody with powers and punching and flying around everywhere. He wanted people with problems. So he created the Fantastic Four, who's considered to be the first family of Marvel Comics, because they would fight amongst each other. Human Torch would play pranks on the thing. Reed and Sue were involved, eventually got married. Johnny is Sue's brother, they're related. Ben's their best friend. There was all kinds of love, but fighting and family problems in there involved too, which people really hadn't seen before. And usually all the comics were individuals. You had Superman, you had Batman, you had Captain America. This was a little family unit basically being superheroes, which is kind of an unheard of thing at the time.
Actually, wasn't the Human Torch and Sue, weren't they brother and sister?
Johnny and Sue were brother and sister, right. And Reed and Sue were dating when they first started, but later on got married, now have kids also. So again, normal things that go on in people's lives.
Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer.
Yep. And they're rebooting for new movies too. Yeah, new one's coming out. All right, August 1962. So next summer. Oh, you got something? You want to guess or you got to say something? It's August 1962. The comic was Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man it
I
is.
said that. I said that.
It was his covers.
That's what I said after them.
Very similar to the Batman cover, kind of swinging in versus his spiderweb versus his robe. Stan Lee wanted to create, he opted to create a teenage character who was having trouble because he had to go to school. His parents were missing, his parents were believed dead, and so were his aunts. He had girl problems. He was a nerd. He got bullied a lot.
Yeah.
But he put the costume on. No one knew who he was. He became anonymous. So he wanted somebody with everyday problems. He created Spider-Man. Now, between 1941 and 1961, we had that giant gap of time there. Oh, matter of fact, actually.
Is that the original cover?
What's that?
Is that the original cover?
I think this is a reprint, quite honestly, because if you look, some of the lines are very bold and dark.
Well, the costume itself is different too.
Yeah. And you can,
Yeah.
some of the lines on the guys holding obviously are a lot crisper and cleaner. Basically, I just wanted to go in as a big picture. All the other ones are very small pictures, are harder to see.
Yeah.
I got a big one basically to get the idea down for this one. All right, so let me shrink this down real fast. That Fantastic Four cover has him fighting a guy named the Mole Man, and I think it's 4 people in the family fighting this guy who kind of came up from underground, living underground and unearthing, and all his mole men basically was paid homage to again at the very end
The Incredible.
of The Incredibles.
Oh, the Mole Miner. It is I, the Mole Miner.
The Underminer comes up. In fact, let me enlarge this later. I hope we have sound here. But they actually do a big homage to the Fantastic Four and one very brief homage to someone else in the very last 2 seconds.
It's on the other one.
You got your Fantastic Four family basically right here,
Yeah.
and that's basically your mole man. Sounds good.
I like Jack Jack.
Jack Jack's great.
You have like, you have
And they do homage right there to Superman, by ripping his shirt open and exposing his emblem, basically. But did that entire scene as their nod to Marvel and attack a little nod to DC there at the end.
Dash is like the Flash.
Mr. Incredible?
Mr. Incredible is like Thing.
Or, if you want to do Marvel, he would be, that's Marvel, if you do DC, almost like Superman, because of his strength.
Mr. Incredible is like Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic,
And then their daughter is like Sue.
because she's invisible, basically. Yep. They're very close to Fantastic Four.
Close invisible.
Alright, so let me slide forward, 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 and stop there. Okay. Again, there was a gap of time from the 1940s to the 1960s when comics went kind of started to go by the wayside, they began losing money. GIs were back, they didn't want that. So what they started building was an empire of mysteries, romances, sci-fis, westerns. There were the big TV shows at the time, big B movies in the theaters, and it began kind of falling aside, also because there's a book that came out, let's see, there's a next here, called Seduction of the Innocent, came out, and this Dr. Friedrich Wertham was hired to basically do anti-propaganda against comic books. His book basically was there to show that comic books were creating the youth of America to rebel and go bad. And they were causing all the problems that America was seeing in their youth coming back from the war and growing up in the 50s and 60s. It got Congress involved, they got the Senate involved, they got the American government involved in this. And they began, and this is the same time when communism in the 50s and everything, the Red Scare was going on. So what was created to basically help alleviate anybody's worries was that little stamp there called the Comics Code Authority. And they had this little detailed list of all the things you couldn't do in a comic book. Like, for example, if I was the bad guy and I kidnapped you and he was coming in to save you, I couldn't show you, there were certain ways I could show you tied up, but not other ways that you couldn't be tied up. Because it was deemed too almost erotic. I can't do that. It's like bondage. You can't do that very much. If I was somehow going to drug you, if it was actually shown, if the needle and the drug were actually shown that I used on you, at the end of the comic, I had to die because of that. It had to be shown it was so bad that I must die because of my own problems, and what I did to you is what had to kill me. You couldn't show drugs, couldn't show extreme bondage and things like that, things that might corrupt America's youth. This stamp, if you go back and look at all the comics from the 60s and 70s and in the 80s, actually, at that point, they're all up in the corner. They all had to go through the editing process. They had, all the scripts had to be approved and given a little stamp of approval, and the Comics Code Authority would say, okay, it's good, you can go ahead and print that, and throw it out there. That is not there anymore. Eventually, as time has gone by, they've realized we don't need that anymore. We're more adults about this. We're going to move on. The sci-fi books began getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, one generation of people went by, 20 years passed by, and by the 1960s, the kids who had been the kids reading the original comics were all grown up now. They are the first generation that grew up with the comics. They began working with the drawing and the writing of the comics. And what happened was, DC Comics was the first one to sort of reboot their comics and start fresh. All the comic characters they had created, they said, all right, we need a new batch of them, basically. So they took all the characters they had and redid them all. And they said, all these original guys are from a place called Earth 2. All right, all the characters you see now are Earth 1. And those are the characters you guys see now. The Flash costume, it's on the TV show. The Batman costume you see now. They're all... Gotham, all the Batman stuff is all from Earth 1. So it was kicked off right there with Showcase when the new Flash was created. Gave him a new costume, new name, new powers, everything else versus the original Flash they had. And DC began rebooting things. All through the 70s, a lot of things began happening. It was a counterculture, a drug revolution. They began showing people with drugs on the cover. If you guys watch Arrow, TV show Arrow, if you ever watched that one, you see his partner Roy. One of the famous covers DC ever did was they had Roy become a drug addict. He was a heroin addict, actually. And on the cover, there was Green Lantern and Green Arrow coming and bursting in the room, and he's sitting there injecting a needle into his arm. And he realized his prodigy, his sidekick, was a drug addict. It was a whole drug issue, which was unheard of again at the time. By the time we get to the 1980s, comics began getting darker. Began creating what's called graphic novels. Darker stories rose to prominence. Some of those well-known ones are this one, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, 4-issue series. Batman's about 50 years old.
Yeah.
He's kind of moved on in his life, and he's kind of one last fight versus Superman, the Joker, and the U.S. government. He kind of comes out of retirement for this one. Very famously made into a movie was The Watchmen, 12-issue series, became a graphic novel. Dystopian alternate world where kind of things went wrong with superheroes. Marvel created what I read as the very first graphic novel I ever read was this one, God Loves, Man Kills, which some of it was taken and used in X-Men 2, the movie X-Men 2. And just to make sure, I got some things over here, I have visuals. When I'm referring to things like graphic novels and such, let me use some examples. I'm moving, John, just to let you know. Okay. I call this like my evolutionary scale of comics as far as like their size of them. There are things called, let me take it out of here for you so you can see it. These are called ashcan comics. A lot of times in the 80s and 90s, they're very small, as you can see. They're very brief. They're only about 10, 12 pages. Certain magazines, comic-related magazines, would have these as inserts, like freebies inside of them. They're giveaways. They weren't charged for anything. This came from a comic magazine called Hero. And this was given away if you bought the comic. It's sealed in plastic. You could get this as a freebie in there. Regular full-size, this is mine, here's mine. Regular full-size comic, traditional size right there. Then they have this, which is called, technically this is called a trade paperback. This book is called The Unwritten, and trade paperbacks usually take about 4 or 5 or 6 issues of a comic, put them all together, because some people don't like to wait a month between every comic to read them. So they'll wait till 6 of them come out, they get put into a trade paperback, and they'll read 6 right in a row. Of course, then they have to wait 6 months to get the next one, though, so you're losing and you're gaining a little bit there, too. So if you want to get somebody interested in the book, buy the first trade of that series, it gives them like 6 issues to kind of get into it, they might like it, begin reading it. Graphic novel is usually a standalone book, sometimes hardback, sometimes paperback, but it's a single story by itself, printed, usually it's a little bigger. This is probably a double size of a comic, whatever. You know, this is, I'm not sure how much this one is. I think $19.99 maybe. It's a hardback book. And usually they're standalone. They're 2 or 3 times the size of a regular comic. And this boy wouldn't even fit on the stand. I'd set him down here. This is called an omnibus. This has got about 45 issues of a comic. If you're really die-hard into getting into something. These are very expensive. These are probably about, this is $69, $70 right here. But again, it's 45 comics, so it's cheaper than buying 45 issues of a comic. But if you really want to get caught up on a comic, that's the one you want to go to. If you're really die-hard and getting caught up on
That's a
something.
single night read for you.
That's a single night read. That took me, I read that one as a research, because I was entering a contest for that company. They're holding a writing contest. And that took me probably about a week. After school, I'd read for 2 or 3 hours.
Slacker.
Wow.
I know, I had to work. God. And they paid me, so it's okay. Well, I'm a teacher. Not being able to pay me a lot, but they paid me. I'm a teacher, so. Okay. Now, let me shrink this down real fast. Slide this over and finish up the history part. We'll go to the actual comic book part here. Okay. Let's shrinkify that there for a second. Okay. Did the evolutionary scale. All right. Let's go to, slide these guys out of the way here. The Hulk's so light.
Don't make him angry.
I know. He's paper thin though.
Smash!
He's wafer thin. Okay. Shifting into part 2 here. How do you make the comic? There are, and again, this is broad stroke stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. 5 people working on a comic. Not counting the company that distributes and prints up into the comic. You need 5 people essentially to get the comic made and ready to hand over to the distributor and the publisher.
Typers?
5 jobs.
You have to type it? Like
That's very close. There's technically a name for the person who does that.
It's called a writer?
Okay, well, let's get the basics. You get a writer. The basics. You need somebody who's got to write the script.
You need somebody to draw the picture.
You need an artist. Pretty much got basic on those 2. Now, you were very close on one of them. You said a typer.
Typesetter? Is that what it
There's
is?
the word type in it. Doesn't have the word type in it.
You need an ankle.
There's one. You need an inker.
Inker. You need somebody to put the plastic on it, like.
Oh, we're not assembling it yet. We're just getting all the stuff made to be assembled by someone else. Editors, depends. It depends on if you've got a big company or if you're doing it independently. Big companies can afford an editor, yeah. Small companies, basically the writer will edit his or herself. Usually if people see a problem, they'll help edit. So they don't actually have a specific editor themselves now. You were so close on that timer. I'll give you the first letter. I'll give you the first, this one and this one.
C.
2 more jobs. But I'll give you a hint. Here, well, okay. I'll use my own comic here. How's that? Here's one of the pages from the comic here. Pull up here. That hint is for this person right here.
Layout.
That's going to be usually the writer's job. Writer and the artist do that. What do you not see in there?
Color.
You need a colorist.
Okay.
That's a star, because obviously we don't have one.
Yeah.
This is a black and white comic. We put a star on that guy.
And then you need a letterist to.
That's closer. I'll give you credit for that one. They're called a letterer. Okay? So writer, artist, inker, letterer, and colorist. All right, which ones each one do here? Oh, I've got some pictures.
The writer writes. He writes.
Let's go through the basics, exactly. All right, so. Pull this up here. Sorry, new computer. There we go. And I think it's this one here. Okay.
One better example
All right, Charles, which one did you say a second ago? I said that's kind of the person, both of them work on this. Oh, you said layout.
Layout.
There it is. Okay. When I write scripts, there's, depending on, again, what company you're working for,
DC.
you know, DC Marvel, there's a lot more independence going on these days. There are certain layouts. It's like when you write a movie script, there's a layout, the way you have to write it. One of the things with a comic book is you have to sit, oops, drop it back down. There you go.
It'll disappear.
What happened?
That'll disappear.
Okay, so it's not on my
projector.
Okay. So trying to point to it, let's go up here. All right. Every page of a script, whether it's got 1 word or 100 words on it, you got to put the title of the comic, what issue number it is, who wrote it, what page this is. And even though it says page 12 right there, first thing you do is tell them what page it is. This is pretty much, that's just for the company, if you're getting somebody distributing it. This is what the artist needs to see. I got them what page it is. It's helpful if you tell them how many panels it is for the layout. That way he or she can kind of get a mind's eye, how do I want to lay this thing out? Some comics are very linear. Boom, panel, panel, panel. Some kind of move around the page, some blend around. Tell them how many panels it is, gives them an idea of what space they're going to use. Within that panel, just any quick description, I think this is the page right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. That's why I use it. This was what my artist had to use to create this panel right here. He and I have never met. He actually lives in India. We've never met face to face. We never even talked. We talk on the computer, emails, and Facebook. That's it. There's his name. Santosh. That's his name down here. He's my artist. We found each other on Facebook in a comic book group company. But this is what he'll do is he'll lay it out, very broad sketches, and go, how does that look? And I'll go, good, good, change that, good, 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 whatever else. And then he goes and finishes off. But this is what he has to base it on. Now, he's also had 11 more pages before this, also built on, but he gets a quick description, any character that talks, like I said, who it is, what he or she is saying. I've even got to put sound effects in there, because that way he knows, because he's got to do the sound effects himself, on his computer, by hand, whatever else, and it goes down the page. So that's what he looks at when he creates something like that. Another one here. This is the page after it.
Upside down.
Yep. This is the page after it. Continuation actually goes on this side, so we go over here, like that. But that's the kind of thing he looks at, that he gets from me. Every writer, an artist, every writer just writes differently. Some are very descriptive, some are bare bones and let the artist kind of have free will to kind of describe things themselves, as long as the dialogue is there. Okay. So when the artists are working, one of the first things they usually do is, again, they do a rough layout. They don't do finished products off the back. They sketch it out to make sure their size, proportion, what's going to go in that panel. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 panels is a lot. Most comics, an average is 6. It would depend on how much action versus how much dialogue you have going on. You have more action, you have more panels. You have more dialogue, you have less panels. So a lot of things happening there, a lot of action, a lot of panels. Once he or she draws it, then they go in and put the final details on it. It's not even final. They put the details on the diagram. You see the lines are a little darker, a little more defined. This is where the inker comes in. Over there is what the artist did just with a pencil on the left-hand side. The inker comes in, and you can see some of the things he or she has done here. Obviously, the black of the umbrella filled in here, the shadows. If you even look at the rain that the artist just did to suggest, to tell the artist, to tell the inker, I need rain here. The inker then went in with more straight edge and darker lines to draw the full rain in here. They'll erase over the artist's work if they need to. If they don't care about that, they'll erase it and make it better for what they need to do. Again, all the shading on their jackets, their back of their coats, all that down here. The shine on the umbrellas. It's basically suggested to let them know what I'm doing. It's their job to go in and put all the details. The black of the umbrella, the shine of the rain, hitting the umbrellas going through. And basically their job is to crisp everything up and erase all the stuff that's not needed anymore. The inker basically does the final cut, so to speak, before the colorist comes in. It's got to be done at that level before anybody is going to color. Santosh does everything at once. He draws, he inks, he shades all the tones and the shades of grays, the blacks, the whites, whatever else, and he letters too. So usually it's different people doing different jobs. He does it all for me, which is good. It's convenient. Give it to one person who does it all for me. Now all I do is write. So once the inker has done that, it's pretty much going to go to the colorist next. If you have a colorist, obviously we don't use one. If anybody's ever seen the show on AMC, The Walking Dead, the Walking Dead comic is a black and white comic. So it's not that common anymore, but he wanted to basically have you focus on the comic writing, not sorry the color and splashy colors distracting your eye basically. Plus they have a lot of blood, they use a lot of red too because it's zombies. So. There's what a colorist would do. Notice what they have done actually. It's a very crisp picture over here, all the lines in the black and white and everything else. But since Flash uses energy and lightning and electricity, they wanted the bright whites and yellows. So you notice all these black lines are actually gone over here. Anymore, a colorist does things on computers. It used to be all done by hand. But with the computers, they can get a lot more, it's almost kind of hazy and blends a lot better. They can get the effects in here. It turns it all to whites and yellows around him. The blacks are basically just on him. Is all they saved. All of these dark colors. Jamal Igle is the artist right there. There's his name right there. Is gone. And the white and yellows are overtaken by the suggestion, as it were, of electricity, energy, and speed going on here. That's what they do. Again, more on computers nowadays than anything else. So you can get a lot of stuff done with regular desktop. You don't have to be in the same room anymore. And then lastly, I got the letterer. The letterer is the one obviously doing the word, balloons, and dialogue around the panels. Most comics look like that. Every once in a while, and it's only happened, I could probably count on one hand, the amount of times I've seen somebody vary from the norm with lettering. And it was done in one book, and I thought, no, I didn't bring it with me, I was going to. It's a book called Arkham Asylum, which was a graphic novel that about 25 years ago was all painted. And what the letterer did was this. Now, there's normal lettering. That's actually Harvey Dent, Two-Face, in Arkham Asylum. As you can see, the lettering is pretty normal. But what he did was, for different characters, he would change the lettering style. For example, on Batman, anytime Batman was shown, was pure black, and it was white letters to give you the psychological feel of darker. And if you read this thing out loud, it even makes me want to do my voice deeper, like Batman does in the movies. Almost like Christian Bale guttural speak thing going there. What about her eyes? You just want to get deep and dark with that voice when you see it printed like that. Even crazier was when he did the Joker.
The Joker.
Because when you think of the Joker, what do you think about?
He has green hair. He has a white face.
Okay, colorful.
He's a maniac.
He's a maniac. He's crazy.
Purple suit.
All over the place. So the thing he did here was, fine, the Joker's chaos.
Oh my God.
He doesn't get a word balloon. It's basically scratched on the page, no word balloons, because that would restrain him. Joker's not restrained. He made the Joker's words all over the place and very non-conformed. Even later, other characters have blue lettering to give himself a very cool and very calm feel. But he used a lettering along with the artwork to convey psychological emotions to the characters. All right.
They actually have a game for Arkham Asylum.
What's that?
They actually have a game.
They have the game because Arkham Asylum is a very big piece of Gotham City.
Where
Exactly.
Joker breaks free, and then Harley Quinn opens the gate for
And that's a good thing. Bring that up. Harley Quinn is an example, a rare example of something.
She used to be a doctor.
Not that. That's happened before. You're nuts. But I'm talking about how Harley Quinn was created. Harley Quinn is, I think, of two examples off the top of my head. One from when like Charles and I were kids growing up. On Saturday morning cartoons, they had a cartoon called Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And Spider-Man's Amazing Friends were him, Iceman from the X-Men, and a character named Firestar. So he had fire and ice. Firestar was created just for the cartoon. But she became so popular, they brought her into the comics as a mutant. Harley Quinn was the same way. She was created in the 90s for the Batman cartoon TV show. She became so popular, they wrote her into the comic books, and now she's a major character. She's got her own comic book now. But she wasn't actually a comic book character. She was only for the cartoon. Now.
They have different games with Harley Quinn.
Oh, she's all over the place. Now.
Because what's her Joker?
All right, making the comic itself. There's something that goes back to ancient Greek times when they began writing plays. They began creating what's called the three-act play. Still, in general, used a lot today with TV shows, movies, books, plays, comics, whatever else. Act 1, you introduce all your characters, introduce what the problem is. Act 2 is where all the action is and trying to get to the solution to the problem. Act 3 is the climax of the whole solution, and then the end result. Order and pacing matters. You don't want to get done too fast because you want to keep reading the comic, but you don't want to slow them down either. So the whole thing comes into, again, like I showed you over here, that's 45 issues of one comic. And the comic has about 120 issues altogether. That comic's about 6 issues. That tells one whole story right here. That's 6 issues of one story. How many issues can drive how long or short of a story it is you want to write? If you think about the three-act play, which I did for a couple of my issues, I wrote the introduction. That's actually that comic right there, which is a kind of standalone, I call it the Infinity issue, because it's not a standard issue. But for the first 3 issues of my comic was one whole story. Introduce all the characters, all the action, the chase, and the final result of what happened for their actions. Keep in mind, I'm sure you've read comics before, you know, if you get to the last page of a comic and it's not the end of the story, it's being continued in the next issue, what do they usually do on that last page?
They leave it on a cliffhanger.
They leave it on a cliffhanger. Why?
Because they want to make the reader more interested.
They want you to come back and keep reading the book. They want to keep dragging you along, keep you want to almost get like a little drug, keep you going. They want you to read that book.
There's a book that they have in the library that I read that tells you different stories. That can tell you different stories, but will also leave you on a cliffhanger.
So leaves you on a cliffhanger? See?
Called
Does it make you want to keep reading the next one?
Called the Magic Treehouse books.
Exactly.
And when they get to the last page, they'll check on their next adventure,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll tell you a prologue in the next book, and then when it goes to the first chapter, I'll tell you what they did in the other book right before.
Leads me right into my, oh, that's fantastic. Let me point this up, then we'll bring that right up. That's right. Look, I paid you to say that, and I didn't do that actually. But you can have snacks for you. All right. In fact, I'll finish this in a second. We'll take a break here. What I got up here is obviously an action kind of chase fighting scene. And I got the character at the very end here. She's reaching back, pulling out this, again, this is back in the 1800s. They don't have laser rifle stuff. This is all steam powered and rifles basically. This is electrical. She cranks it up to get electrical power out of it. And she's tired of chasing this guy. She says, that's it, I'm done. No more of this. Which makes me want to turn the page. She's like, oh crap, she's got a gun now. What's going to happen? And that's when she pulls the gun out basically and shoots at the guy and short circuits what's going on with him. And catches him and they get out of there. But basically, if you can end the page and end the comic with something that makes them want to turn the page and keep reading, that's what you want to try and do. Leads up into what you just said. If you didn't hear what he said,
I actually had 2 books with me, and I checked them in before I came down here.
yep. When you move on to your next issue, if your next issue is a continuation of something, would you say they did?
They'll tell you on their next adventure, prologue, then what happened on their last adventure.
Some of the comics, I'll use one of them here.
I can go get a book.
What they'll do is this. Yeah, this is mine. What they'll do is, they'll either, sometimes they take the front page here and go, previously in the last issue, and tell you what it is in case you need to catch up real fast. Some comics put it right here, kind of like I did, and kind of give you a quick little synopsis of what happened. Some say, that's not good enough. We'll let you figure it out. And then between the dialogue with the characters, they will somehow explain to you what's already happened, trying to make it sound natural, so you can kind of catch up if you lost an issue somewhere. So you got to make sure you don't want to lose the reader if they're coming in kind of midstream, as it were. Put that back in there real
The
fast.
Magic Treehouse books, they'll like have 4 or 5 stories. The first 4 are actually discovering the Magic Treehouse. Then you have books 1 to 4. They discover, little brother and sister discover the treehouse in the woods. Then you have 5 to 8, which is just doing the magic spell.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the rest of them. Like you can have 9 to about 9 to 12, I think it was, or like different ones that they can tell about. You have the treehouse, the discovered treehouse, magic spell, and then you have ancient riddles. Then you have them going on their ancient riddle stories. Then you have them going on a new adventure for Merlin the Magician from the time of King Arthur. And so they just keep
Good
going.
lord, it went back quite a bit. I like I've read the books already. It's telling the whole story. Good night.
And because they figure out what the treehouse actually belongs to.
So good back and does the history of it all.
They know
That leads into this.
they know who owns the treehouse. Marty Lee Fay.
Let me use that as my segue. Good. Going back and talking about origins. Now, let's take somebody. He's gone here. Where is he? He's here. Let's go back real fast. Take the granddaddy here, Superman. Been around for 76 years, since 1938. In 30 seconds, can anybody tell me the origin of Superman?
Born on Krypton.
Oh, right there. 30 seconds. I'll watch the clock. Go.
He was born on Krypton, he came to Earth, he took the idea of Clark Kent, now he's a superhero, got killed by Doomsday, now he's back.
His powers.
He, laser eyes, supervision, strong,
Freeze breath.
and freeze breath. Yes.
Okay. So you run around a lot?
He has super speed too.
Okay.
Not as fast as the Flash.
That's nice to watch. Where does he work?
Daily Planet.
With who?
Lois Lane, Jimmy, and the Chief.
And so the 1850 version, all right, don't call me chief. All right, boom, there it is. Now you did about 38 seconds, but I asked extra questions, that's okay. The actual origin of Superman looks like this.
Where was Wonder Woman born? I didn't figure that out.
Where was she born? Amazon Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't really born, she was like,
She was actually made of clay originally and forged. She wasn't a human.
Because they have a game.
You ask questions, I'm going to answer.
They have games. They have a game called Injustice.
Oh yeah,
And
Gods Among Us. Yep.
And when you select Wonder Woman, you play as her.
Yep.
they have like little short clips of them being introduced. And they have Wonder Woman kneeling down. You have her holding out her hand saying, "Athena, guide me."
Yeah, she's always gone to Athena for guidance, yeah. Okay, is it? Oh, there we go. This is all they gave you of the Origins of Superman back in 1938.
Him lifting a chair as a baby.
A single page.
Single page. Here he is rocketing, he lands. Hey, he's kind of strong. Now he's jumping, now he's an adult. He's jumping. He couldn't fly at first, he could only jump 1/8 of a mile. He was super strong, they gave him that one.
Oh man.
That one's it. They basically said he can jump very far, he's very strong, and he can outrun a locomotive. And boom, done. And it explains scientifically something similar to an Earth that's very similar to his powers, and then that's it.
Spider-Man was big like a spider.
To create the probably most iconic superhero of all time. That's all it took. Now, obviously, over 76 years, they delved into backgrounds and stories and origins and changed things over the years. But to get it going, that's all they gave you. So, all right, here we go. Let's start the comic. And that's enough. If there are kids reading it, they'll be any more. Let's move on. And they got into it. So, it didn't take a lot back then. And if you look at his costume's even a little different, too. Obviously, the shield on his chest, a difference. The red and blue and the underpants are pretty much the same as James Orlando. Alright. That's good. Let's take a break for a second here. Everyone have a snack, whatever else. A drink, bathroom, it's been an hour already, so. Give my voice a break too here. His name is Aiden? Is that Aiden? It's Aiden.
How old are you?
Aiden, how old is Aiden? Aiden, how old are you? That many? 6. Alright. He gave me fan art moment and he made this for me. He made the Flash. I don't know how he did it, but yes, Flash is my favorite character of all time, so. He made me fan art. And it even got some reindeer and little penguins and snowmen on the backside too. But did he use the stuff you won from the raffle to make this? Is that what he used?
Did you use what he won?
Did he won the stuff you won from the raffle? Is that what
He was already drawing it.
Oh, he was already-
He got markers.
He was way ahead of the game. That's like,
He's like,
That's
I've known
nice.
Mr. Kevin Smith for a long time, and the Flash, seriously, like you picked his favorite.
yeah, I have the Flash tattooed on my arm right there.
Crazy. The Flash is
Yes.
his guy.
My classroom's got Flash
He did a good
posters.
job.
I met the Flash artists and writers and stuff. Yeah, he's my favorite. Flash TV show.
Students never see him.
No, they've never seen me. I'm a blur across the room. All right, here.
Flash is
Oh.
number one.
We're gonna start creating some people here. All right.
Try to be on.
The fun stuff here. All right. Creating the adversary. Creating. It can be a person. It could be people. It could be a natural event. But let's talk about people here for a second. All right.
Thor does fast with a hammer, didn't he?
Yep. Now it's his mother, actually. He's not Thor anymore. His mother's taking over the power, actually, in the comic book. All right. With your adversaries, your opponents, whoever it is you were up against.
Villains.
The villains, depending on how bad they are, really. To me, the best bad guys aren't the old scientists rubbing their hands together and kidnapping the women and tying them up. Yeah, they're like, that's not anymore. They're the people that, they may be doing something that you don't agree with, but you understand why they're doing it. You know, like Magneto versus Professor Xavier. Magneto just doesn't want to be prosecuted anymore because of being a mutant and humans and everything else. But Professor Xavier's like, we can work with them. And Magneto's like, no, Charles, they don't want us. And he just gets angry a lot because he hates the fact that humans hate him, basically. So they're good adversarial characters. But when you break down the basics, think about it in the sense of them being opposites of your heroes. If you think of Batman.
The Riddler.
Okay. Now, if you had to probably go with the obvious, who's the seminal Batman villain?
Joker.
Joker. Okay.
But it could be either villain.
Oh, he's got a ton. Batman and the Flash have
I
tons
think
of
off the
them.
bat. Couple pop.
Hold on.
Catwoman.
Get to hear for it. They're coming down. Batman. Think of how he's created versus what he is created as. This is the man who is always wearing black. He is dark. He's in the shadows. He is introverted. He is strength. He is the exact opposite of him.
Right.
He is brightly colored. He is extroverted. He is chaos. He is order, he is chaos. Your best adversaries come from two places. Either they're the exact opposite, like Batman and the Joker, or they're exactly the same as your hero, but they've gone down a different path. Think of Superman. Superman's seminal bad guy is Lex Luthor. They are opposites. Superman is strong. He is colorful. He is looked up to. He is power. Luthor is bald. He is a scientist. He is hated. And he is his mind, where Superman is his strength. Superman opposite Lex Luthor. Superman down the same path, but different.
General Zod.
You got two. That's one of them. You know General Zod, who is also Kryptonian, so has the exact same powers, but he's military. Or you got Bizarro, who was created as a clone of Superman, but it's imperfect. So he's not very smart either. So he's the exact copy of Superman, just not very intelligent and manipulated by Lex Luthor. So your best villains are somebody very close or exact divergent from your main hero. That way they either got something definitely they're butting heads against, or your hero can see themselves in this other character, whoever he or she is. Keep that in mind. Alright.
Green Lantern versus Sinestro.
Green Lantern and Sinestro. Sinestro was a Green Lantern. He's got down a different path. Now he's evil. Now he's part of the Sinestro Corps. Part of the Yellow Lanterns, exactly.
They
So,
have different lanterns. Yeah, love, hope.
all by colors. The red, the orange, yellow, the green, the blue, the indigo, the violet. Exactly. So, when we create a character, which we're going to do right now,
Yay.
exactly.
Yeah.
That.
Never know right.
All right. What we're going to do, I think. Hey Ty, what do we have available for drawing, coloring, writing stuff over here?
Poster board, yep. Poster board, sketch pens, and markers, crayons, and like color pencils.
Okay. Is it all the stuff's over here? Okay. Let's do this. We're going to break up. How many kids we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. We can use all three. We're going to basically try and real fast create a character in a comic real fast.
Awesome.
All right. I can power this down and do this. John, just to let you know, we're about to slide over here. Gonna warn my tech guy what's going on here.
I've been tracking.
Get the sketch pad. Team 1,
Versus Team 2.
Team 2, and we got
Team 3.
Team 3. Okay. We're going to take our young guys and make 3 teams. Well, this ties with us over here, and we have the adults help them out if you can, because you guys have seen them along and keep them on topic. All right. Team 1. Team 2.
Yeah.
We'll use Aiden. We're going to have you be Team 3. You and some of the adults will be Team 3. Let's go over here real fast. Actually, yeah, let's go over here. Slide over here. Put Team 1 right here. Put you right here. The Team 2 will put you at the end down there. And Aiden Team 3 are there. And if we can like take some chairs, maybe even help some of the adults come over and help these guys out. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A couple there, a couple more there. Good. We're going to real quickly create a character, hero, and a story. Little 3, 4 page story. Create a mini comic real fast.
Awesome.
But each group has got something they're contributing to the character and the story. So you may want to wait to see which group you want to be in, depending on which team you're on, maybe. Alright, Team 1, you are in charge of this. Team 1, you're going to tell us, got a list here. Turn sideways here a little bit.
Yeah.
You're going to tell us what their power is.
Oh, yes. I'm good.
You get one, a bit complicated, one good strong power. And tell us what their weakness or disadvantage.
Can it be a hero or a villain?
Right now, do the hero. You're doing hero. Team 2, you're going to create for us a costume for the character.
Yeah. Without a costume.
What their secret identity is.
Secret identity. Oh, I didn't know the perfect person.
And what do they look in their normal life.
No. We're using pinks and purples.
No.
We're not right.
And team 3, you're telling us who our opponent is. That's our villain opponent.
You're gonna be the right one.
The location of this fight or whatever it is, and what the distraction is. Because here's going to try and get to whatever it is, but caught before they can finally get to it. So real fast, as a group though, we do need to create the name of this character. Two things, we need to create a name for our character. You might have a suggestion for a name for a character.
Captain Kevin.
Don't say the Kyle.
She's Catwoman. I mean a new person.
Defender,
Stop it there. Defender. The Defender, that's her name, the Defender. And is the Defender male or female?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's a whole other comic. I'm not going near that comic.
what do you think?
That name, named male or female? Female. The female character named the Defender. Okay? Team 1, you design the power of the Defender and what their either weakness or disadvantage is. Team 2, you get a costume going for the Defender. What her secret identity is, what she's doing her real job, and what she looks normally. And you guys are going to design a villain, opponent, and where they're going to fight in battle. Okay? It'll take about 15 minutes or 10 minutes, maybe it is. Get some ideas.
My team.
I'm going to get some water.
I'm retired.
I just saw the worst costume ever.
Repeat the worst costume ever.
Too many kids.
Oh, God.
I was gonna suggest Captain Kevin.
Defender, 2 on the shield.
I'm going to walk over here.
Yeah.
Make sure John bleeps that out in the commentary.
Sorry. You can't use you can't use Rose or
Villain's a boy?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
What's his name? Who fights the Defender?
I wish I could draw what's in my head. You know what I mean?
I want to
I have a picture in my head.
Snowflake Man.
Snowflake.
Oh, no, don't cheat. Listen in his conversation.
I'm gonna like practice, just like sketch.
Now.
There's pencils right there. There's pencils right there.
All right, so what is Snowflake Man going to look like?
And whenever he touches somebody that's hot, he melts. And then when he touches something cold,
Shut.
turns back into
Don't pull down the invisible chain.
snow.
So he powers back up in the snow.
What else?
You're getting drawing something. You better get something going here. You got some ideas here. All right.
Weapon.
All right, we got a villain going here. You guys better ready. He's got a villain. He's ready to go.
He's from
We need a weapon of some kind.
How about sword?
Oh,
Got an origin going. I like that.
Because you
Can
need
you
their
just
secret
their
identity.
like all fence to like
Their
What's that?
secret identity.
energy shields.
Oh, yeah.
Morgan Lee.
Like Sue Storm does. She uses invisibility
Morgan Lee.
as platforms and shields.
Morgan Lee.
Nice.
Here, here, I can get the book. Here, I can get the name.
That would be his power, the shield.
He could throw them too.
I guess when he uses it like this, it would send out a power.
Morgan.
Does he create it normally, or does he have like a
Is that a character that's already been created?
like a bracelet or something that helps create the energy just more naturally?
Morgan Faye.
Morgan Faye?
Yeah, do you want a mutant or do you want like a Tony Stark?
Is it a woman or a
weapons kind of
man?
person?
The one muted.
Oh, all right, it's a natural thing. All right.
Oh, we decided. Oh, okay.
Nice
eye.
Those are cold looking eyes.
I know. They'll be blue
What
later.
does she do? What does Morgan Faye do?
She can.
No, what is she like? What is the secret? Her
Costume?
the normal person. What does she do?
Like a Clark Kent look.
What's her job?
She can. She works in the library.
Oh, is she a librarian?
Oh, we should make her shield like a book with your big D on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she's a defender
Everybody's got
of
that.
knowledge.
So our part is.
Marker. I need some water.
Cape is a bookmark. The cape is a bookmark.
So we got it.
No!
I see those dimensions.
No!
Brian's doing better than I'm doing right now. She says, I can't draw. I'm like, we don't have Da Vinci's over here.
I'm just playing.
I said, Brian's doing better than I'd be doing.
Okay.
You can see what somebody says.
Keeps you be a bookmark.
I'm gonna draw the shield.
Okay. So you guys draw like sketches of the shield over there, and then we'll draw the final over here. So you like
Yeah, I'm just,
look at what you think it should be. He's always on the third.
Female.
Shield said, like they said, who are you? Shield said, I'm the defender, and I'm defending your future. I get that. That was
Look at his daughter though. And his papa must stick though.
What could our catchphrase be?
Snowman, but in beach shorts.
Oh, ours is knowledge is 1.
Headphones.
So he can keep his cool.
Exactly.
A 7. 74. 74. He's putting 70.
741.5.
Oh.
That's the Dewey Decimal System for comic books.
We opted for not having the tattoo.
All of us don't have the same thing.
Huh?
We opted for not having a tattoo on that.
Oh, that can flip from here to there.
You do a QR code.
Yeah.
The scanner.
She can also use one of those checkout things when you check something out.
The barcode reader?
Yeah.
Wait.
Scan in their eyes.
Well, that's when you. That's right. I was gonna say where the one you started drawing. That's the one you started drawing over there.
She can scan in their eyes, make them blind. Be easier to fight them.
Every time, don't blind your people with this scanner, bar scanner thing. Use your powers for good, not evil. You know, loaf of bread.
With great power comes great responsibility.
You're gonna butter the bear.
What?
That's Excalibur.
It's a giant loaf of bread.
It's a transparent Excalibur.
Oh, transparent rock.
Wait. I know what to do. Wait. No, don't erase that. I know what to do. No. Stop.
When creators argue.
Just like the size of a lion.
Now it's time potato. I got you now. Okay.
No.
Baked potato?
It was bred to hunt bears.
Russet potato. Oh. Now it's loaf of bread.
Now, yeah.
It's a French baguette.
You can say it's sourdough.
Sourdough.
Croissant.
Pretzel roll.
There we go. Sword in the bread. The story of sword
Need a
in
giant
the
pat of
bread.
butter on top of that. That's his weakness, butter.
Yeah. Butter.
There you go. Or parquet, whatever.
There you go.
Lightning bolt.
We made ours.
All right, let's get our snowman together here.
Oh, we made
All
ours.
right.
This has more yellow.
Here's our designer here. Okay, explain what we gave the defender over here.
Oh, his weakness is overcompassionate.
He's always throwing himself into the fray.
His disadvantage is he's the first one to fight. His power is on energy shield. He can do that naturally.
Okay.
He can shoot shields from his hand. He can fly and he has super strength.
Okay. And that's all natural, all mutation, energy, all energy base is all natural.
He had the energy shields, the shoot shields from when he was born, but what he was like
This here is sort of
Oh.
a shield.
Oh, like a projection shield.
Yeah.
Okay.
and when he was 16, his father did an experiment on him and he got the last 2.
We got problem with fathers on both sides of the story here. This is big. Oh my gosh.
That
This
look good for you.
I know, dads just do bad things to you. They're experimenting on you, give them more. Now, was his dad doing it?
No,
To experiment?
uncle.
His uncle. Is men still? Was he trying to help him or just trying to experiment on
He
him?
had a very bad cancer and he's trying to cure him.
Okay.
He did cure him.
What's the backstory here?
He got
a shield.
It did cure him. He just had
So there's
one
a
little
shield.
tiny thing from it, but he's got those things exchanged.
And so he gained all this other stuff.
No, he had those when he was born.
Right.
He got those on the experiment.
So he got this from the experiment.
Flying and super strength.
Flying super strength. Okay, but all the energy stuff was natural from birth. Okay. Over here, we'll switch genders.
He, as his regular character, is. Tell us her name.
The name is Morgan Fay. She's a when she's not fighting crime, she's a librarian.
Library, hence the books. Okay.
Yes, and so she has a shield,
Okay.
and a sword, And so
Defender of the library. I like
yeah,
it.
defender of the library, and but like when she's working in the library, when she's not fighting crime, if there's somebody if there's someone not like following the library rules, she can
Listen up, Ty. This is for you. All right. Ideas for you. There you go.
She throws a book at him.
like a cop. I throw the book at you. All right. No.
And,
go ahead.
And if they're still not listening, she can use telekinesis to move them outside.
Throw energy shields at you and just throw books at you.
And when she moves,
violent. All right.
When she moves them outside, if they try to get back in, she could build a fort of books, or she could put them in a maze of books to confuse them.
Are you writing this down? Okay, make sure you got this. Okay.
To confuse them, so that way they can't get back in.
Now, just for the record, so about home on the video, why is that number there?
Ask him.
Ask him?
Yeah.
All right. Why is that number there?
Because that's the number for comics in the Dewey Decimal System.
Dewey Decimal for comics. That's on her logo, their shield there. All right. I'm scared of the chicken head man here, but go ahead.
This one is.
I was just sketching.
Oh, okay.
He was trying to draw a book open.
Oh, this is the rough draft stuff over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the shield that she drew.
Okay.
This is the one I drew. This is the shield I drew. That's right here.
Right.
This one's a book he drew, and this is a sort of loaf of bread with butter.
Why wouldn't it be? Okay, because apparently you were hungry. Now, prepare yourself
The nemesis.
for this. This is our opponent. Aiden, tell us who this is, and tell us their sad backstory.
It's the Iceman.
Okay, Iceman. What can Iceman do?
He can freeze stuff.
Okay.
And he can put, and sometimes he can move the clouds and make it cold.
And where's he from?
He's from an alien planet.
And what's he trying to do that it's upsetting the defender? Why is he angry?
He's trying to freeze the Earth so he can make it his Iceland.
So he's trying to turn Earth back into his home planet. And how did he get here? What happened back at home with his parents?
He was, his dad was fighting a villain, and then the mom was putting him inside the ship, and then his dad died, and then
Sorry, you're first.
and then he was in the spaceship. Then the villain was so mad that he took the ship because he was going to use that. That's why he killed his mom.
He looks right at you when he says that. Okay.
I just want it on the record. I saved him.
Yes. And you lasted longer than he did.
That's right.
So, okay. All right, cool. You're like, I didn't go first.
That's
a very sad story. And again, make sure you notice he does have abs and shorts on. That's very nice.
Ours has pockets.
I know it. You guys love pockets and shorts, apparently. So keep all your, like, you Batman utility belt, you got your little pockets and stuff on there.
And then we have Harley Quinn diamonds.
Well, of course. Influence from the crowd, yes. Thank you. The crowd influence on that one there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did you wear those shoes today?
Sweet. Okay. Nice.
Let me get a picture too.
Get a picture? Yeah, get your picture of all your stuff. Let's get the rough draft out of the way here.
No, I want to take a picture of that loaf of bread.
Put it on the end then. That's got to be Brian's orange. Yeah. Okay.
It's big.
We'll get your thing. Well, actually, let's put them in order here. There. Number 1, number 2, number 3. In fact, we'll even get the weapon thing over here.
Alright, so.
That's loaf of bread? Can you say
Yes.
that one? All right.
Come on.
Alright. So let me see.
Aiden's going to stand by his work. There you go. You want to go over here, Aiden? Behind your work?
Dang it.
Get you in the picture since you're great. You want to go up there too? You create stuff down there.
Everybody say cheese.
Queso.
There it is right there. Right into one. Cheese and crackers.
I don't take pictures. I don't do pictures.
So obviously, as you noticed, there were obviously artistic differences between some of our creators here. I noticed on some of the designs changed over time, especially in the rough draft sheet where that thing went up going there too. But yeah, it's very difficult, especially, like I said, with Santosh being in India. It can be very time consuming trying to get a question back and forth between the two of us fixing something, especially with the language difference also, sometimes it's not sure what I'm trying to say a couple times. I've had to sometimes send a picture where it consult a thesaurus, basically, make sure he understands what I'm trying to tell him. His English is very good, just not 100% obviously. But all right, well, that's a little bit of the history of comics and how we make them and everything else. But again, this is, like I said, a golden age for independent comics. I don't go through a company. I self-print through a company in Michigan and sell through my house, basically, whatever. Next issue is he's working on it right now. He's about halfway done the artwork. Probably done around April. Will be the first issue of the series coming out. So, again, feel free to look at some of the stuff around here. You can put the boards around, look at the artwork if you want to, whatever else. But for me, I think I'm pretty much finished. Thank you. Thanks all for coming. And feel free to take your stuff with you if you want to hold on to the stuff you did. Fish graded it. Eat one his and grab his too.